Well, hello and welcome, awesome students. My name is Dr. J, and I will be your professor for the next 8 weeks as we explore personality and the theories of personality. In this class, we're going to talk largely about normal personality. We may have talked about, or you may have heard about, things such as personality disorders, and that's more in the abnormal spectrum. And in this course, we're going to focus on normal personality. So what makes us unique in the world. And so we'll have an opportunity to explore some of that specifically this first week. So I am excited to get going in this class, and I'm certainly going to do a weekly overview this and every week throughout the course. I'm going to send a weekly update video on Monday so that you're very clear on the expectations moving forward into the week, and also provide some tips and insights starting with this week as we move on, just to help you to be successful, not just in this class, but certainly as a student as a whole. So let's talk a little bit about me. I'm a clinical psychologist, obviously, as I'm teaching a psychology class, but nonetheless, I've been an online professor for over 10 years. I've been on this campus for a while now, and I certainly teach a lot of classes on the campus, including abnormal psychology, general psychology. I teach the capstone course, and so it's a good opportunity. You might see me around, although we have a lot of students and a lot of faculty, so I don't know that happens very often, but luck of the draw, our paths might cross again. Nonetheless, ethics, critical thinking, a lot of different courses within the program, and certainly a lot of courses on other campuses. Some personal tidbits, in addition to a doctoral degree in clinical psychology, I also hold a master's degree in business management. I am extremely passionate about travel, so it's not uncommon. You're going to see a really cool, unique background behind me. And as I always tell students, when you see something cool behind me, it's not a virtual image, it's a real background. So keep on the lookout for that as we progress through the course. So let me start off by giving you a few success tips. And I know the students in this class have been in the program at least for a little while. This is generally not a first semester course, although I might have a couple of students, but these are tips that'll help you to be successful in this and every course. Make sure to read all announcements. You're going to be held accountable for the information in these announcements in this video, so do yourself a favor and go through the videos and read the announcements as they go out. I usually send out 4 or 5 during the first week, and then just 2 or 3 every week thereafter. You're always going to get an update on Monday, and then a couple of things I might send out during the week. So just pay attention to that stuff, because it's going to help you to be successful and help to give you some insights on the assignments. Make sure you read everything twice, gang. Twice, maybe 3 times, probably in the 3 times category, but you want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of the information. It's good to read through the information on Monday, even if you're not going to sit down and work on your coursework until later in the week. Go through everything on Monday. Take 20 minutes or so to go through all the materials for the week, just a quick skim, so that you have a clear understanding of the expectations are. And that way, if you have some questions, you can get with me earlier in the week, as opposed to reaching out on Sunday afternoon to ask a question and I might not be around. So do all the readings and do those early in the week. That will serve you well to address the assignments. If you've read through the expectations, you know what you're going to need to accomplish in those assignments, and then do your readings, you'll have a good insight on the types of information you're going to be looking for in the readings to address the assignments. Be active and engaged. This is your education, gang. You're all on track to be mental health professionals, and whether that be master's level clinician or an MFT or an MSW, or you want to be a PhD or PsyD level psychologist, whatever that might entail, you're going to need to know this information. This is not the class where you're just checking a box. You know, when I teach general psychology and I have a lot of business students, they're just checking a box that they need that credit of social science, but you guys are in the psychology program, so you absolutely need this information. So don't make any shortcuts. you're only going to be hurting yourself, because there is going to come a time and day when you're going to need to do practical exams and state licensures and interview for practicums and internships, and certainly for jobs later in life. And if you don't have a good solid knowledge base, it's not going to help you later. So always do a little bit each day. As I always encourage students to find those small little pockets of time. You have a busy life, you have a busy schedule, we all do, but you'll have 20, 30 minutes, an hour every single day. I'm sure you do. Avoid watching the TV and getting on social media. Read a chapter in your book instead. Write a discussion post in those small little pockets of time, and you'll find that quite often you can get done with most, if not all, of your stuff by Friday, as opposed to waiting until you have 3 or 4 hours to sit down on the weekend to work on your coursework. Do it as you go throughout the week. It'll alleviate a lot of stress. You'll be happy you did. Always work ahead when you can. As most faculty get emails from students all the time that something came up, they ran into an emergency, their internet went out, whatever the case might be. And if you're working ahead and you have a crisis that hits you, it is going to be little to no consequence to you in the class. Keep up on your coursework is very important. I am a stickler for the deadlines. You have my commitment that I will be here for you. I will make sure and grade everything on time. I generally get things done early in the week. I'll be on top of things. If you reach out to me for support, I'll absolutely be there for you. You're all professionals, and I expect you to act accordingly and meet those deadlines. If you do run into a problem, it's about having a commitment, gang. As I said, you're all professionals, so honor your commitments. Make sure you communicate with me in advance if you anticipate missing a deadline rather. But always do your best to meet all deadlines. Work ahead when you can and get things done at least 24 hours in advance of deadlines. Why do I say that? Did you ever notice that problems always seem to happen last minute? Last minute is when your internet goes out. Last minute is when there's a computer glitch. Last minute is when your child is sick or a family emergency comes up. So if you put everything off until the weekend, you sit down and you have a crisis, you've just dug yourself into a hole. And here's the reality. This class is over in 8 weeks, period. You have to get everything done in that time span. So just make sure you're on top of your coursework. You'll alleviate your stress. You'll be very happy you did. So let's talk about the coursework, go through the week, and I'll give you some ideas and expectations and certainly what to expect in order to complete your assignments and be successful for week 1. So as we dive into module 1, here's some of the objectives for the week. Is to create your own theory of personality, apply this framework of nature versus nurture to personality theory, and tell a story about an ambiguous image. And I know you're probably thinking, I don't know what that means yet, but you will here in a moment, and I'll give you some insights into week 1. Week 1 is a fairly light week. There's a good amount of reading. There's some preparation you're going to do, but the assignments this week are fairly light. But please, please don't think I'll put everything off till the last minute, skate by, relax, get things done early and start working ahead if you get a chance, because you know those projects can be very detailed sometimes. And so make sure that you're on the ball getting things done and you keep up with your readings. It'll serve you well as you progress through the course. We have 3 chapters in the textbook this week, which is really going to talk about the foundations of understanding personality, development of personality, etc., and how interactions play out. Incidentally, I will tell you on a random side note, I am extremely well gifted with reading people. I understand personalities very, very well, both abnormal and normal personality. I'm very good at interacting with people, reading the situation. I can tell you from experience, it doesn't serve me well personally, but it serves me well professionally. And you might find that experience as well. If you think this class is going to answer questions in terms of those relationship dynamics, well, maybe a little bit, and you might have some better insights on things, but I can assure you it's not going to be the end-all be-all in terms of answering all your questions in challenging relationships, picking the right person and so forth, but it will certainly help you to interact with people better. The better that you understand personality, the better, more effective you're going to be at communicating with others and interacting with people as a whole, whether that be clients or colleagues around the office or friends or family. Certainly understanding personality dynamics will help you tremendously in all of your interactions. The textbook is actually really, really good. It talks a lot about the development of personality, different characteristics, theories of personality, etc. There's 3 chapters in the reading this week that you're going to want to address. And again, I encourage you to get on that as soon as possible. Plow through that reading. It's a good amount of reading. Probably take you a few hours to go through this stuff this week, but again, it's some solid information that's going to serve you well, not just personally, not just professionally, but also personally. And so spend some time on that. I think you'll really enjoy the information. For the discussion board this week, you are going to develop your own theory of personality. And some of you are probably scratching your head right now, not even sure of where to start on this, but I can assure you, as you get through that first chapter, mostly into, some of 2 and 3, but the first chapter within the textbook is really going to help to get you on track with developing a theory of personality, looking at nature versus nurture, why studying personality about yourself and others and how that can help you. And certainly, when we talk about, is personality changeable? Well, we're in the mental health arena, right? So hopefully we have a belief or an understanding when people come to us, go through some therapy or go through some coaching. We talk about normal personality. A lot of times it's just some coaching and development, but it certainly is changeable to some aspects, and you'll have a better understanding of how that works after you go through some of the reading materials this week. In addition to those aspects, you certainly want to address the programmatic themes: self-care, social justice, emotional intelligence, career connections, ethics, and so forth. We're talking about personality. A lot of times this might be self-care, emotional intelligence, career connections is a big one. Pick 1 or 2 of these, talk about it at a little bit length, and make sure that you're adding research to what you're doing. I am very big on research. Everything we do in psychology is evidence driven. And so make sure that you're taking in that information as you're going through the reading materials and incorporating that information into your submissions. And also make sure that you're validating what you're saying with appropriate in-text citations and references in accordance with APA Style Guide. By the way, I am really, really solid on APA formatting. I have been for a number of years. It was one of the things I struggled with most when I started my undergraduate program. I made it a point to focus and learn how to do the formatting the best that I could. And within a few classes, I was a master at it, and you can be too. And there's a lot of great tools today that you can do. Once upon a time, we just had to read the manual and certainly bite the bullet with grading because we had to learn through experience as well. So nonetheless, let's move on and talk about the assignment for this week. It is a fairly light, kind of fun assignment where you're going to have the opportunity to take a look at some images and talk about some of the aspects of what's going on within these images. And so you're going to select an image, talk about some of the before and after, some of the things that might be going on, thoughts, feelings, and things of that nature. This is not a very challenging assignment, gang, but please don't wait till 10:50 on Sunday night to dive into this thing. Get this stuff done early in the week. As you know, the discussions are due by Thursday night, but there's no reason why you can't get this done earlier in the week. Do yourself a favor, get things done earlier in the week. You'll be happy you did. Again, take every advantage to work ahead. That's always to your advantage as well. So you're going to submit this as a Microsoft Word document. You could see it's just about 2 to 3 sentences. I always encourage students, when you see things like this that say 2 to 3 sentences, think 3 sentences, think a short paragraph about each one of these things. Always work toward expanding your thoughts, because it's always in your best interest to put a little more information in there as opposed to not covering it quite enough and losing some points there. So go a little bit longer is always good advice for every class throughout the program. In psychology, as I always tell students, we tend to be a little long in some of our written explanations, and that's because we want to provide more depth of understanding. So with that, that will wrap up the overview for week 1. I certainly want to leave you with one final tip, and that is keep in mind that at the end of the course in week 8, you will be done with week 8 when you hit submit on that final assignment. And that means you can be done as early as Tuesday or Wednesday of the week and have the rest of the week off until your next class starts. And so with that, please reach out if I could be of any support to your success. If you have any questions with the materials or anything I can help you with. My name is Dr. J. Again, I look forward to working with you over the next 8 weeks and getting to know you, and I certainly look forward to reviewing your submissions. Have a great week.